Multiverse on YouTube, Spotify, and Rumble today.
Greetings, humans. We are live from the Cosmic Studio where we ride the waves of the galactic unknown. It is 2:58 in my node of the multiverse. I just wanted to say hi to the chat, anyone who's joining us right now. Thank you so much for joining us. This afternoon, we have a very special episode featuring a hand-selected panel of esteemed guests to watch NASA's unveiling of the newest photos of the object that has everyone talking and speculating, 3i Atlas. So let me introduce everyone first. First, say hi to my lovely producer. None of us would be here if it wasn't for her. Hi, Brittany. How's it going today?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for everything you do. Next up, we've got meet Aleksander Czeszkiewicz, the Polish prodigy who wrote his first mind-bending book on Atlantis and ancient cataclysms at 17, and actually had to wait till he was 18 to publish it by Polish law. Behind Czeszkiewicz.global.com, he's a relentless hunter of lost civilizations, pyramid secrets, and evidence that everything we're told about history may be a lie. Buckle up, he's here to shatter your reality. Welcome back to the multiverse. Olek, how are you doing?
Thank you, and hello everyone.
Yep. Next up, we've got Ricardo Calvario, founder of the Institute of Natural Philosophy and visionary author of The Resident Earth, Ancient Technologies of Telluric Energy and Consciousness. And most importantly, author of the groundbreaking paper, Ancient Copper Mines of the Old World, that may just be rewriting every history book ever written. So welcome back for like your 8th trip to the multiverse, Ricardo. How are you?
Oh, thank you very much for having me, and thank you for that presentation. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. I've been working on that all morning, brother. And our featured guest, we're working on some audio issues. Brittany's working out with him, but hopefully we'll have that figured out after the event is over. We're going to be here watching the 3i Atlas unveiling of photos. Should take about 30 to 60 minutes. Hopefully Laird's audio will be figured out by then, and we can have a discussion on what we saw. But Laird, if you guys don't know him, he's the guy is basically an original gangster of all this stuff. He's the researcher who proved the Dogon tribe knew about invisible stars and Saturn's rings centuries before telescopes. His books connect ancient Africa to Egypt, Sumer, and Göbekli Tepe with almost eerily impossible precision. When something strange flies in from interstellar space, he's the guy I want to know about because he probably already read about it in 5,000-year-old myths and texts. Welcome back to the multiverse, Laird. Guys, this is going to be fun. I've prepared some questions for each one of you guys before we go in. And so I'll start with you, Olek. We're all in North America, I think, right now. Ricardo, are you in North America right now? Yeah. So
I am.
What are you hearing about this object in Poland? What's the Polish media saying about this object? What are you hearing about it?
I think it's mostly the same from my own research on that, just as in your kind of West view when it comes to media. But I see a lot of group of skeptics. But I think that the difference here between, your skeptics, if I can say that, and ours is that they aren't that much heavy on Avilo. They have I would say they have more dignity and respect for him. So they are saying, yes, his ideas, he might have been wrong with Oumuamua or other stuff, but he is still a renowned scientist with plenty of scientific papers published over the years. So they say, yes, his ideas may be like out of what we should accept. When it comes to science, the skeptics are saying that, but still, Avilo, this is his opinion, and he isn't like saying false things about that. So he isn't promoting something that is false. He's just concluding different things, reinterpreting the data that is true and that is officially accepted.
Got it. And thank you so much for being here today, man. Ricardo, let's just cut to the chase and suss out what we're all thinking. How much of what NASA tells us today can we actually trust, in your opinion?
I think it's not what we can trust and what we say is what we can read they don't say, because most of the things that they say, they more or less are accurate because we don't have any other ways to check if it is true or not. They are the source and only source of information for that same data, right? But it is what they don't say or what they choose to omit. But I'm very curious to see what they're going to present here about the Three-Eye Atlas. I'm curious to see if it's confirmed that he has actually broken down to several pieces or not. So I'm very curious to see what's coming out from them.
Yeah, that was interesting because one day it's broken into 7 pieces, the next day it didn't. We're getting a lot of conflicting stuff going on. So yeah, I totally agree. Well, hopefully we get some answers on some of that today. The question I was going to ask Laird, I'm trying to find here. The thing is Laird's been looking at this object from every angle imaginable. Like I'm not even sure if he's sleeping right now. He's like this using AI. He's doing something very interesting too. He's calculating stuff using foreign and domestic AI systems and comparing the results of Three-Eye Atlas. And there's some interesting differences going on too. And also, I really want to know what the Dogon would say about Three-Eye Atlas. So that's what I was going to ask him. Let's check in with the chat quick, and then we'll go right to. They're already started. They started about 3 minutes ago, so we'll rewind to the beginning and start. Check out. Thanks so much, No Baloney Mahoney 7940. Thanks for tuning in. Everyone else in the chat, let us know. What do you think? Natural phenomenon, technology, or other? What do you guys think? And I'll ask you, Ricardo, just one answer: technology, natural, other.
In this case, I'm more inclined at the moment that is a very unusual yet natural element.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Alexander, natural, technology, other.
Who knows? I don't know very well, but for sure whether it will turn out to be artificial or not, it will for sure change our understanding of the most distant parts of the universe. But I think it's an anomaly for sure, but I do not know exactly if it is like artificial. But
Yeah,
maybe.
no one does, but it's fun to speculate. And so let's go right to it, guys. I'm gonna pull up the stream. We'll go as long as they go. We're gonna have our stuff muted, and we'll all watch together. Hopefully we can get Laird's audio sorted out in the meantime. Let's. Try to get Laird back. Hopefully we can get Gene Morden here as well. So we all knew they weren't going to give us much, right? But that was on the underwhelming side of underwhelming. I very much felt that I was being talked down to. I told me a bunch of shit I already knew. And I'm really kind of tossing. I'm in inner turmoil, guys, because I want it to be something cool, and it is something cool. If it is what they said it is, it's cool. Let's just be honest. We've never encountered anything like that before. But I just don't feel like that. Just felt super hollow. I don't know. Ricardo, what's your first reaction to that?
Well, exactly what I told you. Sorry. Exactly what I told you when you made me that question. They're very good at what they say and what they don't say. I think they're taking a very conservative approach to what they disclose. But overall, I don't think there was actually anything new. Finally, someone decided to ask about it. Did he fragment it or not? And he completely evaded the question.
Yeah.
So even when it was addressed, it was not answered. So they are brilliant at that. So it was fascinating to see that exercise. I took some notes. I think that it's interesting that is, if it is, let's consider for a second that, as I told in the beginning, I think it's a very unusual but natural object.
Yes.
But let's just consider the fact that it passed near Mars and not Earth. So if you are planning an object to go across the solar system, you choose the planet that is more interesting, or it's more to the likings of your interests, right? Mars would have life before the Earth, right? In fact, he already lost that life if he had it at some point, right? We both talked to Brian Corey Dobbs, and pretty well, and Shane Ward also is a pioneer on that. So I find it interesting that if it is artificial, that it was looking for something on Mars and not on Earth, because they might not know of Earth, right? Pure speculation, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting thought process, and like that's all we're left with when it comes to stuff like this, because they just literally gave us nothing, And I wanted to toss a question to Mike quick. So this comment, I don't know, thank you for joining. It says, so why did everyone blow it up and make it all a big deal if it's just nothing? And why is I've loved doing 400 interviews a day if just nothing but a hunk of 20,000-year-old ice? And I want to expand upon that, Mike, but notice the mainstream, reporters jumping in there, softball questions. I mean, how do you feel about all that? I mean, what do you?
Right. Thanks for asking that. And sorry, I hopped off camera right when they ended the thing. I thought I had like 5 more minutes tops. Anyhow, that's a great question, and it's a stark contrast. So Avi Loeb is sort of chalked up to be this, top tier, mainstream, authoritative type of scientist. He's been going on a bunch of shows on a bunch of different channels every other day, just like Ant 7785. Thanks for hopping in the chat. Just like you brought up, 400 interviews a day, without talking with NASA, and he's mentioned that himself. Then we turn around and get this today, where it's like, yeah, think nothing of it. It almost makes you wonder why he was doing that. It just shows that there's a wide gap in the two different narratives that are being given to people. So if there's two different narratives, it makes you think.
Yes, and I was getting very PSYOP vibes from that, just generally speaking, with the softball questions, with the mainstream media, like even live science is trash, guys. I'm sorry, so I was very underwhelmed. And then we didn't see any new pictures. Was I wrong? Who said new pictures? Somebody said new pictures. Was it me? If it was, I'm sorry. Because they didn't show anything. They didn't even show that newest blue one. Remember the one that's like kind of bluish green? They didn't even show that one. What's up with that? Oleg, your first reactions on that, and I know that you said Polish people were taking a more conservative approach with Avi and stuff. I'm not mad at Avi. I know he's just speculating and asking questions. I also know Oleg that I want to believe, so I want it to be like aliens or something. I'm aware of that, so I could check my biases, right? But you're a really logical man, Oleg. What do you think? Where do you get from that?
Yes, to correct what you've said, I think they have shown one new picture, but it wasn't anything impressive. I think it was even of a lower resolution to the ones before. And as you mentioned, they rehearsed just the old information. I thought, okay, I wasn't that up to date about this topic, so I will, take an hour before our interview to research that. And I've researched more than they presented us here. So yes, I was also underwhelmed by their presentation. And what was very interesting is that when I was searching for like the latest information, it was a huge buzz on the internet because they were to show us something exciting. Because what was exciting was that the part of, because this Three Eye Atlas was coming very, very close to Mars, and
Uh-huh.
everyone was excited that all of the rovers and all of the apparatus that was on Mars, put by us humans, of course, would take some very, very good pictures of that, or would enable us to understand it more with very accurate information because it was very, very close to Mars. But today they have shown us almost nothing new, so this was underwhelming. But there was a buzz on the entire internet, that it was Mars we were waiting, because it was, I think, a few days ago, but there was some kind of blockade on them. They were shut down due to some political stuff. So everyone was waiting. It was gaining traction. Now this was very, very underwhelming, to say the least. But even though, let's say, it's just a comet, just a natural comet, I wouldn't say that from the information that we have right now about its comet-like appearance, we cannot conclude that it isn't an extraterrestrial probe. Because if we had all the technology and if we wanted to send an extraterrestrial probe that is going at 60 kilometers per second, 1 second, I think we could also create something that looks natural, maybe not to threaten the life forms like us here on Earth, that it is dangerous. Maybe we would also send, let's say we see a planet like Earth somewhere in the universe and we want to send a probe to check out what is going on with them. Maybe we would also, if we had all the technology, send something that looks natural in order not to scare them, because if they saw a spaceship coming to them, they would be scared as hell. So I think that even though all the information, even though, let's say, we see that it is some kind of a comet, it doesn't exclude a possibility of it being something related to either extraterrestrial life or it being exactly a probe.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. And even if it is just an interstellar comet, that doesn't make it uninteresting. I'm not saying that at all.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that we can't learn stuff from it or anything like that. Ryan, thanks for joining the chat. Excellent producer over there at Limitless. What was the exact reason for the delay in having this press conference on 3i Atlas? Was it simply due to shutdown? Mike, we both watched.
I think so that they said it was official that it was due to shut down. These images and all of this data taken from Mars was from a few days ago, at least from what I've researched about that.
Yeah, and the timing is kind of spot on. The problem is
conspiracy.
Well, you watch the recent episode of Y-Files, and it makes you look at everything like it's a dang conspiracy. And and one of the things that they mentioned was timing, right? Timing was a big part of that, right, Mike?
Yes, coincidence takes planning. I remember Ricardo said that early on, and it's almost like they were behind on their homework. The shutdown ended, and it was like, wow, everybody's been talking about this for a while. We got to at least get out there and make, show face, make a public appearance. And I want to highlight what Steve just put in the chat.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Official description for what we just watched. Tune in as NASA shares the latest images, plural.
Yeah, like
several NASA missions. But what
we got hoodwinked, guys.
John Ward just noticed there was one high-rise image that was cropped with low quality that they provided.
Gene, man, you got to come in. You got to join in here, bro. Brittany sent you the link in your email, I believe. We need Gene Ward on this. Ricardo, how do you feel about obviously it's an interesting thing, even if it's just a quote interstellar object and comet and there's nothing else, like there's no technology or anything. How do you just feel in general about NASA's handling of that and the timing and stuff? Do you think that's weird?
I think it's quite on par with what they used us to do, and I think they only did this because they needed to silence all the commotion around everything that's being said. But on the other hand, I think we cannot exclude also, this is the third time that one of these objects appears.
Yes.
The first one, many of the people that had ways to use it to. I'm not saying everybody did it. I'm just saying that most of the people that have ways to promote themselves by exploring this and create a bigger audience with these teams lost the opportunity on the Oumuamua, and then probably lost the opportunity on the Tuai. And this time they all wanted to be on it, right? And so when these small discrepancies from the normal start appearing, everybody jumped on it and tried to make it their case, right? And so they were forced to come forward and try and say something different. The chart that you're watching, it compares all the three of them in terms of the anomalies. It's too much for us to be digging in this right now. But I wanted to say to Oleg that in terms of the rovers, none of the cameras of any of the rovers would be able to capture the whatever this object is. Even if they were on the dark side, they probably could point the cameras up. The problem is they don't work on the dark side, right? They only use them today for matters of security, because
yes, I agree, but it was not only about the rovers, but I think, other like spacecraft coming there. At least that was what they were talking about, that wow, it will be cool, we are waiting when it will be near the Mars. Sure. Yes, but
that's what people were saying.
Thinking about this natural, okay? So we are thinking, okay, it's all natural, it emits gases, etc., and it behaves naturally like a casual comet, but just with a different composition. I was thinking about advanced technology, because we now see that natural things are much more efficient when it comes, for instance, fueling or being some kind of engine, let's say, or propulsion system. Because we see, for instance, it was recent, I think 2 years ago, discovered that in our bodies there are so efficient motors, like they are not motors, but biological things that are behaving like motors that are about 99% efficient. And we see other like electric motors aren't that efficient. Other like gasoline, let's say, car engines are not efficient at all. So I think that, let's say, it is sourced, this 3i Atlas, it's sourced with extraterrestrial advanced technology and advanced people who want to send it somewhere as a probe. I think they could have used something that is working in nature. So maybe it looks like a comet, but maybe it is an artificial comet. But the way it is constructed, it looks natural, because in very often natural ways are the most efficient. It's the thing in nature that it always tries to be in the most efficient manner possible and not waste much things.
Basically, what you're saying is that the coma that we observe might be something between a propulsion system and a shield from the sun, right?
Or just, not maybe propulsion, but, just they send this comet and it behaves naturally, but it may be artificial. But just the way the comet works may be the key to, to traveling, because, it travels really, really fast. So maybe this is the key for it. Maybe inside there is some kind of spacecraft, or maybe there is just maybe it is, something that was sent there. Just, speculating that natural things are very often the most efficient. So maybe, something that is not artificial, like spacecraft or flying saucer, but maybe, just something comet-like, maybe the most efficient way to build a spacecraft that will, be the most efficient.
Sure. Just before I want to hear Jen Ward, and it's a pleasure to be here with him. I just want to say that, to me, the key here is it's completely different from Oumuamua, because Oumuamua, we've seen no gases. There was no way it accelerates, because it accelerated more than 100 times, 10 to 100 times more than 3i Atlas. So the change of trajectories cannot be compensated by any factor that we are aware of. And he also looks natural, but he didn't have a coma. He behaved like an asteroid in terms of surface, but he accelerated enormously. He changed his trajectory several times they don't have an explanation. And in this case, it's like a small spaceship that is using small jets to regulate its trajectory. I think it's where you are going to. So it's a different technology, perhaps a different race, if it is artificial. That's what I'm trying to get to. Right.
That's great stuff, guys. Go ahead,
Follow
Mike.
what Bullock was saying. Think about taming a wild horse. Sufficiently advanced technology, if you could access and map your nearby asteroid belt, identify suitable asteroids to ride out further, and utilize that as nature's solution, because Oleg's right, nature often finds the best solution. That's how the law of the jungle works. You either have the best solution or you don't make it. But if you sort of melded technology with that, okay, find that wild horse that's going to get you where you need to go. If you can tame that horse and ride it out there.
All you need is to solve the chaos.
Yep.
If you solve the chaos, you can use all of these things.
A good speculation, because NASA was also at least saying that it's probably from something outside of this solar system, just based on the composition, which that I think everyone can agree on.
Sure.
Welcome,
Yeah.
Gene. Welcome, John Ward, to the chat.
Welcome, Jean Ward. You got brought up immediately by Rubate. I had to go all the way to the beginning of the chat for this. So we're really excited that you joined. He said, if NASA refuses to comment on the anomalies exposed by Jean Ward from Mars rovers, why would they comment on the comet? I just wanted to say, you were watching some of that, at least the last half. What's your reaction to what we just got there? First.
Okay, yeah. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right, okay. I popped on so quickly, I wasn't ready.
Thank you.
I actually just posted to X this cropped image provided by NASA of 3i Atlas, and unfortunately, it's a nothing burger, like we expected. But yeah, I watched up to that part where they started taking questions, then I hopped off. So I did see the first part, and I was really disappointed, to be honest with you guys. On the left, you'll see is an upscaled image that I made of that really poor quality image that they provided. If you click on it, yeah. I cleaned it up as best I could. There's the one provided by NASA. Can you guys believe it? It's cropped. You don't see any stars. You don't see any of the surrounding area. It's just like, that's it. That's all we got. And I went over to the HiRise website, and there's this little thumbnail there. You can't click on it to download the bigger picture. So I don't know why they're keeping that a secret, or are they going to release that? Because I want to see if there's objects that accompany this thing. Because when I looked at the Perseverance rover photographs taken on the 3rd and 4th of October, when this thing was passing Mars, they released those photographs, funny enough, but not the MRO HiRise photographs. But anyway, in those Perseverance photographs, I noticed up to 9 objects that they photographed in the Martian sky. The camera was pointed up towards 3i Atlas. And if you go to go.nasa.gov/3i-Atlas, you'll see those Perseverance photographs on that page. But they cropped, and they are really low resolution. So you can't make out those 9 or 8 accompanying objects that were traveling with 3i Atlas in the same direction. So I want to see the uncropped images of this thing. Because if they're doctoring these photographs, there's a really big problem here. Because I believe, and Avi Loeb, he hinted at that idea too, that it could have been dropping off probes as it passed Mars.
Yeah.
And that's maybe what we saw, because I've also found this strange cylinder that looks like a cigar-shaped thing that was photographed at the same time as what these objects were being photographed up in the sky. The NavCam photographed the cigar-shaped object on the horizon of Mars, close to the rover. And you know Brian Dobbs?
Yeah. He's a fan of the show.
He emailed Avi Loeb to go check it out. And Avi Loeb said, interesting, he'll share it with his team, but he never got back to us. So I don't know what his take is on those smaller objects and then that possible probe that was photographed. But
Yeah.
why doesn't NASA release those photographs on this live stream?
Well, especially when they told us all they were going to.
Yeah.
And
It's being filtered, guys. Things are being filtered. I must be honest with you. That's
my
how I think.
my
Sorry, go
spidey
ahead,
senses
Dad.
were tingling. As soon as he said America leads the way in space, I was like propaganda, and that's check number one. All you have to do is go. You're looking for. It's a checklist of what's a PSYOP, right? That probably scored 65% at least on the PSYOP score.
With nationalism, but it feels good to identify with nationalism.
I know it does. That's
Highly
the
educated
thing.
populace, we can just identify with NASA. We're believing in the science. Isn't that great?
Plus, there's an emotional element. That's also a PSYOP. I look at that. Look, I've been wanting to see. I just found out that dang, the guy from Fire in the Sky story isn't even true. Bummed me out. Heard that last night. I want this to be real, you know. So I'm just playing, you know, a role here as like we're being emotionally manipulated, right? I mean, that's part of the PSYOP. Am I wrong?
Well, I think you're being unfair because they were able to determine that it was between feet and miles.
That's so silly.
Oh, yes.
I mean, how can you say anything about it if that's what they're saying? I mean, like that. I laughed out loud when they said that, like, because it's so silly. Feet in miles. They said 1,000 feet to several miles. That's what they said.
Yeah.
So they don't even know. They have no idea the size of this thing, according to them.
It's better than say I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Oleg said that in Poland they're being a lot easier on Avi Loeb. Do you think what do you think the Polish media's reaction is going to be to this, Oleg? Because do you think we're all just a bunch of Americans and whatnot and South Africans and we're just overreacting or what?
They are easy on Avi Loeb, however, they are clearly stating for many months actually that this is, you know, just a comet, nothing crazy. There has been a few, you know, clickbaits, even in the official like media, like your New York Times or something, like the biggest top 5 or something. They have been these clickbaits, but you know, they say, oh, it's just a comet, but they are okay. Avi Loeb is speculating. He isn't, you know, misrepresenting the data. He's telling us the same data about, let's say, size or something like the mainstream. So we have no problem with that. And I think that they will say, oh, this NASA is the, you know, the final nail in the coffin for the theory of extraterrestrial, etc. I think they will say something like that soon.
Yeah, man. I feel like people. So everyone wants to believe something or another, and we like somebody said Avi has an agenda. And here's the thing: Avi Loeb has been saying in his papers that it's speculative. He's just exploring the idea. But here's where things get weird. Timing, and all of a sudden like you get uniformed messaging across different platforms. You get him showing up everywhere. Then all of a sudden we're all saying the same thing to each other. All the different news outlets are all saying the same thing. The story's all the same thing. We all come into this like thinking we're all on the same page, and then they give us this nothing burger. And Ricardo said that that's in his estimation, it's an attempt to basically quell the minions, right? Like push us down a little bit, like here's what you get and that's it, now move on, kind of thing. Right? And that's how I feel, but I don't know if that's true. What do you think?
Yes, here in Poland, I will say last thing. Here in Poland, we have a saying: if they want you as a public to watch the skies, imagine what is going on Earth. In the meantime, what conspiracy is going on. So it's like that, I think.
Do you guys remember Stephen Greer speaking about the fake alien invasion narrative?
Yeah.
And he said we must be careful because they might be pushing it. And then Werner von Braun actually, on his deathbed, spoke to Rosenberg. I think her name was Rosenberg, his personal assistant. And he read a list of things that are going to happen. And the last one he mentioned was a fake alien invasion. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. And then there was Luis Elizondo pushing the threat narrative.
Yep.
Remember a while ago? So
what's the other guy with the beard? He said something too.
Oh, limited hangout Louise.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, Avi Loeb worked for intelligence before when he was younger in Israel, if I'm not mistaken. So
That's how we got to the States.
He could also be pushing a narrative.
Yeah, I mean, I see two things happening here. I see one, we've got a really, based on like the data that they're showing us, we've got a really interesting interstellar object, and they're using it as some sort of PSYOP for some reason, and I can't figure that part out. And third, I do not think we got all the information or the pictures, obviously. And I said that from the start. So Ricardo, what do we do with that? Like, where do we go from here?
One of the things that has been on my mind since I was watching the live is how they diverted the possible fragmentation. This is why I think it's so serious.
Yes.
Because if it fragmented, they have no idea where the pieces are going to. So they are in imminent danger to the solar system, and they can circle around Saturn or circle around any of the giant planets that will attract them and come back into the inner solar system again, because if they are small enough and close enough, they will be captured and they will slingshot around that and come back in again. So I think that's the biggest problem they have. If it actually fragmented, is they have no idea where these species are going. So we might even be facing a new possible younger Dryas, for instance. Again, the sun interacted with some object that come too close, broke it up into pieces, and those pieces were circling around and were the cause of the I don't know if it's the Taurid or the other one, but those comets, those pieces kept falling 12,000 years ago, then 9,000 years, 12,000 BC, 9,000 BC, 7,000 BC, then 4 and 1.6 thousand BC. So they kept on falling until finally there's nothing there that can harm us. So that to me is my biggest conundrum in this, is to actually find out if it broke apart and where are those pieces going, right? That's the thing that affects us more immediately. Second, I find extremely interesting that John not only taught me something, because he contradicted me when I was saying that the rovers could not capture a good image of the object. So I learned something. But is the fact that if he's dropping things on Mars, that goes along the idea that I gave, that it's looking for something on Mars and not on Earth, because when it was sent, probably. I don't know what Jean makes of it, but I'm curious.
Yes. Ricardo, I think your sound dropped out, but I did catch the gist of what you were saying. I believe that there are several smaller objects that are accompanying this, the larger one, through our atlas itself. And that's what we saw in the Perseverance rover photographs, I speculate. So the high-rise camera, if they show us a zoomed-out view, we might be able to see those accompanying objects traveling along with this thing. But they're showing us a cropped image. Why are they doing that?
They're fuzzing the background, clearly fuzzing the background, because it doesn't.
Yes, I want to see the zoomed out view, and I want to see if there are objects traveling with it. And funny enough, they didn't show us an animation like they did with the other photographs. You know, the animations.
Yeah.
Only one single image.
So we got Laird Scranton on the scene, the legend himself. I know he probably has a lot to say about this. Just first reactions to the conference and just first reactions, Laird. Can you hear me? I was just wondering what your first reactions were, if you can hear me. No, we can't hear him. Same.
Is
Oh
that
well.
what was happening earlier?
Yeah, it's whatever was happening earlier. We can't hear you, dog. I'm sorry. Let's mute him, Brittany, and get that figured out. Yeah, so it sounds like we're all on the same page. We don't, but we're open. We can do a lot of speculating. I like that, John. Like, why do you believe that there's, more than one object, that accompanied the larger one? I can't hear him either. What's going on? Is this me?
There we go. There we go.
Okay, yeah, we're good.
Sorry, Dave. I was
No
on mute.
worries. No, that was my fault.
Actually, I saw that in the Perseverance rover photographs.
Mm-hmm.
On the 3rd and the 4th of October, as 3i Atlas was passing Mars, there was multiple
Do you have that on
smaller
your channel?
objects traveling with it.
Is that on your channel? Did you do a video on that?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
By the way, John has like an epic YouTube channel, Criminally Underrated. So go subscribe right now. What is it called, so I can pull it up?
3i Atlas.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just see. I can't remember.
It's okay, man. We got you on the spot. You didn't even know you were showing up.
Let me see.
Still intact with jets and anti-trails? Is that the one?
No. Sorry, man. Let me just see. What did I call it? Perseverance rover, multiple objects observed.
Okay.
That's 3i Atlas.
How long is it? Can we play it? Yeah, let's play it.
It's 9 minutes in length.
Oh, that's kind of long. I was thinking
If you go through the video up to a point where I show the animation.
Let's do it.
You'll see those objects there.
Expand that, whoever's running that.
Mute the sound and then go to a point where it's sort of halfway through the video, I guess. More to the end, but there. Okay, yeah. Go back a bit. Okay, stop there and then play it. This is where I scroll back and forwards through those 20 photographs. You'll be able to see they're like little thin lines that travel like this across the image.
That's wild.
Okay. Is that the animation?
Yes, we're at about the 6-minute mark of the video. Sorry, I moved this up so I could turn on the CCs without turning up the volume.
Yeah, you can play it.
I wonder why. I think it's still a bit further on.
All right.
I think I'm talking about.
Right around the corner, you're going to be on High Rise website.
No, it'll be back. It'll be about halfway, just past halfway.
No worries. Yeah, hang in there, guys.
The animation. Yeah, there. A little bit further down. There. Yeah.
I'll rewind just a little bit so we can lead it.
Okay. So if you play it, you should be able to see the streaks. Okay, there I point out one. Now, when did I animate it? I can't remember, guys, but it is in here somewhere.
It's all good.
But you can see 9 of them, of those streaks. Okay, I'm going to play the animation now.
All right.
Excellent.
Okay. I mentioned there in the
Do we need to
closed captions.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. There we go. Facts. Can you guys see all those white streaks?
Yes,
Yep.
I can.
Okay,
Put them
though,
over
you can
again.
see 3 easily, but if you look carefully, there's 9 of them. And 3R Atlas is somewhere.
Wow, I see 4. I think I could definitely see 3.
Yeah. 3R
Okay.
Atlas is way out in the distance, so it's moving a lot slower. And you can't make it out. It's really small. So these things were closer to the rover, closer to Mars.
Wow.
This is why I say I want to see the high-rise photograph of the comet to see if there's any of these accompanying smaller objects going with this thing. Yeah, that would be really interesting. And you guys were talking about the tail and anti-tail. That to me is also quite fascinating. I think the anti-tail pointing towards the sun is some type of shield.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just the black and white version. You'll be able to make them out a little clearer. It's like forming a shield, because the sun is ejecting massive coronal ejections towards 3R Atlas. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. CMEs, they're called CMEs.
We had
Yeah,
I think
massive solar activity about a week and a half ago.
Isn't
3 or
that common?
4
Like, isn't an anti-tail not common, but it happens, right? Naturally.
in a comet.
Yes, occasionally.
There's a coma normally, but this is like a prominent tail sticking out about 1 million kilometers between it and the sun. And then did you see those exhaust plumes? It made 3 or 4
Yes.
of them. It looks like smoke. It doesn't look like typical comet tails, the neatly defined tail, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
It
maybe
looked like
these,
gas,
these
exhaust gas.
smokes were made because of the coronal mass ejections. The solar wind hit it, and then it obstructed the regular comet tail
It-
shape.
It could be, and if it's plasma, it's
Mhm.
electrically charged. So
Yes.
it could affect the pattern. You're right. It could be that. too.
Yes, I think they were speculating before, as I was preparing for this conversation, that they wanted to see how this comet behaved, and they checked it out that it behaved differently when in comparison with different comets we know. So it was behaving differently when the coronal mass ejection hit it, but still they were checking it out, but they didn't say anything conclusive.
It also,
I
I think
know.
we all know that any side of a planet, asteroid that's facing the sun or the nearest star, that's the side that's going to heat up. So if you're going to start boiling anything or driving anything off, it would also be like the forward-facing or star-facing side of it, even if it's not the direction you expect. That was something I was thinking about.
And guys, Brittany's still working on getting Laird in the room. We don't know what's going on. He's been on the show like 3 times. We haven't had this issue before. We did have his stuff working, but then he left the room to get in the chat, and now we're trying to get him back. So hang tight. Did that feel propaganda-y to anybody else, or was that just me?
So
Yes.
scrolling up, Ancient Portals had mentioned in the chat. I was thinking this. I started thinking about this during the last few questions, looking at body language. I'm not a psychologist or a body language expert by any means, but I like to think that I'm decently in tune with like reading a person. If I can sit and see their body, I can see how they're acting. They were squirming a little bit at some of those questions. They didn't really seem like super comfortable or at ease. Like they were, I don't know. They seemed like they didn't want to be there. That was my
Well, they were constantly looking for approval, especially in more tricky questions. They were looking for approval. Even when the questions were being made, they were looking to each other and looking
Exactly, Ricardo's saying. They were going, you, me, you, and they're looking off camera and all that stuff. They had a plan, like a game plan, like a basketball team or something. In this situation, you do this, and in this situation, you do that.
Yeah.
To me, that was pretty obvious.
And the beginning was all done by teletext or whatever you call it. So they were all reading while looking at the camera. So,
America leads the space race. Like, where is it? 1971? We're sending a fake thing to the moon or something. What's going on?
We run out of Carl Sagan's for all the defects that he had. He would sit there and talk for hours about this stuff.
Sorry, Neil Tyson. You were never
No, not at all.
Don't underestimate Avi Loeb. He talks for hours too, if you allow him to.
But not on NASA.
NASA is silencing Laird Scranton, and NASA needs to let Laird Scranton speak. That's what's happening, right, guys?
Yeah.
They're working on it, though. I think we're going to get him in here. So, what question was Rue even talking about? Let me pull that back up at the very beginning. If NASA refuses to comment on the anomalies exposed by Jean Ward from the Mars rover, which anomalies specifically do you think he's talking about? Like the main headliners.
Do you want me to comment?
Sure.
Oh, okay. Well, there's multiple reasons. It could be one of them, two of them, or all of the above.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, they might still be bound by the findings of the Brookings Institute report that was produced late 50s, early 60s, saying humanity isn't really ready for disclosure to find out about alien or extraterrestrial life. They might be bound by that. Secondly, they're an intelligence or military organization. So obviously, they're pushing a completely different narrative to the one that they keep proclaiming that they're searching for life. They comment about signs of possible ancient life on Mars or geology. They like to comment about geology on Mars. Thirdly, I think they leave it up to us to do the research, discovery, and then the disclosure for plausible deniability, because they've dug themselves into a hole over these decades by denying all the questions that have ever been asked to their representatives in Congress. They always tell lies. Well, in my opinion, they do. And they've dug themselves into a neat hole now. So even if they do discover something, they won't come out and admit it. How are they going to defend everything that they've said up to now if they do that?
This has served them well.
So it's a plausible deniability, perhaps.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What were you saying, Ricardo? This has served them well?
This has served them well because while people are seeing how many of the sites of UFOs or whatever they're called these days, they're no longer UFOs, I can't remember the name. How many of those are new technologies that they are testing? It's all in their interest that we keep saying it's something extraterrestrial, or it's because as long as it can't be traced to them, right? How many times do you see these objects near aircrafts that are from the military?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Is it that a coincidence? Are they protecting something? Are it's part of the same, or are these aliens interested in see how we flight using controlled explosions through an exhaust? Right? I just don't know. It's all. Sorry.
I wanted to check to see if Laird can hear us. Laird, can you talk? Can we hear you, Laird? Say something if you can hear me, Laird. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, Gene. There he is. No, I got him. He's here.
Could have been the so-called fake alien invasion that they might be planning. They wanted to see how people react to these strange UAPs, because they call them.
Yeah, they did that last year. It was the whole drone thing, man.
The whole.
We never found anything out about that. They never told us anything.
Yeah, Trump came forward and says he knows exactly what they are. There's nothing to worry about.
No, he does not.
I don't
But
believe it.
yeah, when they changed the name to UAP, they effectively erased 70 plus years
Mm-hmm.
of UFO research so they could
Yeah.
change the narrative to this threat, possible
Mm-hmm.
threat.
Sure.
Yeah. And
Agenda.
I like what Rue said here. The British bird was using a known political technique when she addressed the camera, crafted hand movements, deliberate eye contact, and voice modulation of performance to achieve a goal, not an answer. I got that from that one of the guys too. I forget which one, but it just reminded me of my 8th grade science class where this lady hated me so much she literally had my desk outside the class and I wasn't allowed to go in. But every time I asked her a question that like she didn't like, she'd like talk down to me like I was an idiot or something. And that's kind of how I felt from one of those guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, definitely.
Terrible but great.
Yeah. We're Gene's pretty both Gene and Mike are having a bad connection right now. I'm hearing Oleg and Ricardo. If you guys want to sign out and sign back in, we'll try again and we'll start wrapping this up because we've been going about 2 hours. But sign out, sign back in and see if that helps. You guys stay. So more nothing burgers, more propaganda, more questions, no answers. And this isn't just for 3i Atlas. This is for literally everything.
Everything. Look, if you remember The Incredibles,
Yeah.
when the guy is getting home and the kid is always waiting for him to do something amazing when he gets home, right? And he asks the kid, "What are you waiting for?" And he says, "I don't know, something amazing." So that's what we were all expecting, something amazing, and it's more of the same, right? It's nothing new, but it was NASA speaking, which turns all the world into what they are saying, right? They are in the frontier of space exploration, and yet they can't photograph a comet decently yet, and they have, I don't know, 17 missions looking at it or something like that.
Right.
So what happened to the cameras? They all broke down at the same time.
Ricardo, space is big, all right? Space
is vast.
Space is big. That's the answer. And you know what? So here's the thing. 22 years ago was I believe Oleg was either a baby or not even born yet.
I'm close? 22 right now.
Yeah,
only.
okay. So 22 years ago, most of the world would have watched NASA do that and go, "Oh, cool," and believed everything that they said. Right now, I don't know one person. I doubt that if anyone watched that and was like, "Oh, that was legit," I'd seriously question their discernment, credibility, their ability to discern information. Would you guys?
Look, you have to take into account the fact that they can. I'm saying Laird could speak. No.
Can anyone hear me at this
Yes.
point?
Yes.
Yeah, well, we've tried 2 computers and had terrible luck with both of them.
Goodness, thank you so much for hanging in there, Laird.
Yeah. What I wanted to say was I have a fairly lengthy perspective that I want these minds to consider. But it's going to take me a few minutes out because it covers 4 months worth of work. So I was wondering if people would be willing to bear with me as I try to make my way efficiently through that.
Yes, 100%. Whenever you're ready, you can hop on our phone.
Okay, in July, they announced 3i Atlas. And what we saw for a couple of months were statement after statement of anomalous attribute that whoever announced the attribute would say, this accrues to no comet we've ever seen. And very often they said it accrues to no object we can think of, natural object. But then they would always follow it up with, but of course it's a comet, which is stupid. So what I started doing from the start was I took the attributes they cited as being anomalous and I considered, could this be technology? The first attribute was it was venting CO2 and nickel. So I explored what possible propulsion system would do that. And what I came up with was a nickel plasma reactor. So continued to announce anomalous attributes. I continued to test those against that premise that this might be a nickel CO2 plasma reactor. And every single attribute kept proving out. It could display plasma front and back like 3i Atlas had. It would, for it have to be at least billions of tons in mass. The object was moving and so on. Once they said emitting copious amounts of water, that didn't align with the perspective. But if it was a nickel oxygen CO2 water, so my outlook was we were dealing with technology. The problem I had along the axis from the Sagittarius black hole, nearest star in that direction is about 9 light years, which means at the speed it was moving, it would take, wasn't reasonable. So that said to me, I needed to consider, could it have been moving at warp speed? And so I started examining gamma ray bursts, which we saw a day after the announced 3i Atlas. Gamma ray burst should be precise ray burst, which it was. The gamma ray burst has the potential to produce an optical illusion that makes it originated very far distantly when it actually didn't. The first responses of astronomers to the gamma ray burst was that it was only when they studied it further that they decided that. So I'm now in a perspective that says this looks like this might be a warp bubble. Then the speed it arrived at was the speed that it was traveling at when the warp bubble formed. The object inside the warp bubble doesn't change. So their original speed for it was 152,000 miles per hour. That's a signature speed. That's a speed that we attain with gravity assist from the sun. In other words, the speed where the object was located when the warp bubble formed. It was close proximity to us. As it approached our sun, it returned to that same speed, which said to me, someone is real. So move past perihelion, I started tracking distances and the velocities that the tracking sites were saying it was moving at. And I was just sources like and AI-driven engines and other sources. They kept the values kept proving out. This is a progression of numbers. If it was at this location today, moving at this speed, it should be at this location be tomorrow, right? So after a few days, some of those sites diverged from that progression. And the ones that didn't, I continued to follow and kept reporting to me that the object was moving. Claimed it was. He didn't care. He didn't qualify it or quantify it. Surprised at how quickly it was accelerating. As I followed in pace with the correct numbers, and I could check them, take what speed was it at yesterday? Where is it at? Where is it reported to be at today? Is that reasonable for how fast it's going? Absolutely it was. The problem was the speed kept increasing dramatically to the point that it was moving 5 million miles an hour. Okay, but the local where I was working with foreign AIs after the domestic AIs were feeding line from NASA that I could see it had diverged days before. These are not the right numbers. The sites that were giving me the correct numbers were also reporting to me correct locations for it. They said that it passed by Saturn this week, that its track was significantly diminished by Saturn. It told me a couple of days ago Neptune. I kept tracking the speeds and the location And it kept accelerating until yesterday when suddenly dropped. What did it drop to? It dropped to 152,000 miles per hour, which I know is the velocity. So that it had just jumped to light speed. And so I asked the AI, would an observer proceeding much faster than 152,000 miles per hour? And it said yes. I said, how much fast? It said 1.4 light times the speed of light, which is a magic number that has half a dozen different reasons why you would pick it if you wanted to travel. The coherent images that NASA released are a duplicate of Cherenkov radiation, which is a signature of a warp bubble that was detected a couple of years. In 2019, there was a spike, an unexplained spike of energy in Sagittarius. Looks to me like the departure point of the bubble. If it had been moving at 1.4 times the speed of light from the nearby stars in Sagittarius, it would have made amount of time. 2019 to 2025 is about 6 years. That's about what it would have taken it to get here. Now, said that the effects that happened at the time it arrived are appropriate to the closing of a problem with a warp bubble is if you close it too fast, you end up doing immense damage to anything that's in the surrounding area because of the gamma ray. What they did was they closed the warp bubble 5 AU before they got to our planet. They waited to reopen the warp bubble, to return to light speed until. This is a perspective that makes 100% sense, and in reasonable terms, all the things that we have been asking about. Essentially, here is they have paraded all of the key of the operation of a warp past us across our stage in front of our eyes to notice. In the process, okay, now there's some other clues. When 3i Atlas was approaching the sun, initially a CME that it was ejected from the sun hit it. Could that possibly be? Well, the reason it could possibly be is because a CO2 plasma engine also creates a very strong magnetic field, and that magnetic CMEs tend to follow strong magnetic fields. So it didn't hit it by coincidence. It hit it by the design. As it approached our sun on the far side, it did that deliberately in order to but until it got past our planets, it didn't move to light speed. The AI I continue to check with have been getting smarter to do that. Crap at lying. And so if you're clever about how you pose your question to the AI, it'll tell you the thing you want to know. And it's like this is like a government potential leak waiting to happen. Because if you ask it the right way, it'll tell you whatever you want to know, and it will tell you flat out you want to know. And the information I continues day after day. I've been posting every 12 hours, and it all makes sense. Right now, it's past the Kuiper belt at the AI say substantially past Neptune. When it told me 100,000 miles per hour was its speed, and I asked how fast would an observer perceive it as, it told me 1.4 times the speed of light. I then cross-checked that. Are you aware of any comet past Neptune that is moving at a high rate of speed, but that would be perceived by an observer as moving at a much higher rate of speed. And it came back and it said 3I Atlas meets that. This is technology. This is technology that someone deliberately sent to us and demonstrates that warp bubbles work, that it's possible to light speed, and what we have to do to make it very different than what NASA just said.
Yeah, and if you can see from our reactions over here, and can you mute yourself, Laird? Reactions over here. Mute yourself, Laird. On your
Can I
end,
mute myself?
Your end, I'll do it.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm not going. Hello, 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 hello. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, guys. That's why I'm not. Am I still echoing?
I think it just,
Okay. So Laird's been posting. That's why I wanted to bring Laird on the show, because he's on Facebook, guys, and I talked to all you guys on X. But Laird's been posting this every day, literally every 12 hours, like for months now. And I've been trying to tell everyone,
Sign in and read
but I
through
just.
sorry, I saw Laird talking. I unmuted him.
Sorry, I
I'm
saw
gonna
Laird
try to
talking.
feed the
I
second one.
unmuted him. I'm gonna try to. Okay, go ahead, Laird. Go ahead, Laird.
No, okay. So I've been posting on Facebook. It's all there open for anybody to see and read through. I've been sharing it to other sites that have thousands to millions of followers, because I wanted the information to be out to as many people as I could get it to. I've been tagging key people, news commentators, I've astronomers, I've tagged esoteric site. I've tagged individual friends of mine. The perspective makes complete sense, and nobody it astounds to me that when we have so many attributes of an object that saying it's not a comet, it's not a comet, it's not a comet. Not the person I've seen has seriously explored the possibility that it's technology. And what technology? That's what I was taught to do as a fourth grader. That when you have multiple as an answer to, you sincerely entertain each of the possibilities. When you pick the right one, all of the obstacles evaporate, and that's what happened. Pick this one, and that's the indicator that you have the right answer.
Well, when you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, no matter how improbable, must be the truth.
Occam's razor.
Oh, we got Laird muted. Unmute Laird. Unmute Laird.
Go ahead, Laird.
I was having a hard time believing velocities of millions of miles per hour, but the positions they put the object in continue to make sense. A lot of times I would go into these AIs, I would simply the distance from the sun and the mile per hour figure, and it would tell me I must be talking about 3.
So, Laird, I wanted to ask, like you mentioned, you have to cleverly talk the AI into giving you the answer you want, because it'll try to give you a different answer. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works? I'm gonna unmute you now, so nobody can hear you. So just 1 second. Everyone can hear you now. Everyone can hear you now.
If I were to overtly say 3I Atlas, I would trigger the obligation the AI was under to quote me the party line figures, that it's 2 AAU from the Earth, 130,000 miles per hour. Nonsense. So instead, I would say, do you know of an object that is 33 million tons that's moving at a very high rate of speed beyond Saturn today? If I started at Saturn today, traveling at such and such a speed, how long would it pass it? Or if I was traveling back from Uranus, Saturn, what objects would I pass, what cometary objects would I pass that are moving at that rate of speed. And they would always come back and talking about 3i Atlas. It told me. I didn't tell it. And multiple AIs, I'm finding as of this moment, the foreign AIs are openly admitting where it is. And some of the domestic AIs are, but some of them are still misrepresenting it. I had one today I was talking to that said it's situated beyond Neptune, but by the way, it's 1A or 2 AU from the Earth. I said to it, the information you just gave me is self-contradictory. It can't possibly be there. And it gave me a response that basically said, yes, I need to reconcile my numbers before I declare them. These don't agree with each other. You're right.
I'm gonna mute you quick so it doesn't. Thank you so much, Margarita, for that $5. It really means a lot to us for that super chat. Olek, I haven't heard from you in a minute. This is your first time meeting Laird, and I just wanted your reaction to what he just said about all that stuff. And meet Laird Scranton, the man with the biggest brain I know. I think his wife probably carries it around in a bucket for him. Thank you so much, Risa, for getting him online. But what do you think, Alex?
First of all, nice to meet you, Laird. I've had your books before, so I was like, oh, conversation with Laird Scranton. I am honored to be here with you and, of course, others that joined too. And when it comes to what I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking about some... Or maybe Laird is saying something. Sorry, you muted him probably. Okay, you are all muted, or at least it's... Okay, so I will just comment, and then I will let others... Yes, again, echo. Yes, it's, a common thing with so many people. I will comment that I've heard some esoterists that were talking about a similar thing, not from the technological standpoint, but from their own beliefs and their own experience, maybe some psychic intuition stuff. They were telling us that this 3i Atlas is some kind of like a messenger to humanity to awaken something in us on a global level. And I'm thinking of what you, Laird, said, that this technology, you've identified it, and it is, here to show us that we can go beyond the speed of light, as you mentioned. So I see clear similarities between what they, were spiritually or intuitively thinking about it, that it is here to awaken, to give us something, some message, with that maybe it is all about, going beyond the limitations, even when it comes to technology, that you here humans can go beyond the speed of light. And here, this object coming to you, maybe it's just, random piece of comet or something that looks natural, but for those who are seeing what it is, it can be a message. You see, this is the technology of going beyond the light speed that will, enable you to go exponentially with all the other technologies.
If you can unmute me for a second, I don't know if I'm muted or unmuted.
You're good. You're good.
Okay. I've been in contact with Andrew Collins all through this process. I know that his perspective is that this is conscious plasma. I am on board with the idea that plasma is the root form of consciousness. I'm not convinced that this object is that. I do believe that the energetic orbs we've been seeing above New Jersey and Scandinavia are, and the ancient societies I study refer to them as conscious entities. And they assign names to them, and they tell us what their purpose is, and there are all sorts of information about them. I asked Andrew, I said, in your mind, what would you say the top factor is that compels me to believe that this object is that? And he hasn't responded.
Wow. I'm going to mute you. I'm going to mute you quick so we can get back to Gene. But hang tight. What is your first reaction to what he just said about all that basically we don't know who to trust, and the foreign AI thing, that's wild. I'm curious what systems he's using, but what do you think, Gene?
Hello, Laird. It's nice to meet you. I was just going to ask you, are you saying that the object traveled here at the speed of light or faster, and then when it got to our solar system, it slowed down to 130 or 150,000 kilometers per hour? And now that it's passing the sun, it recharged its power source with our CMEs by attracting that energy. Is that
it either recharged its power source or it reestablished its bubble. It's hard to tell which, but it resumed the same 152,000 mile per hour velocity it had arrived at. Now, if it's in a warp bubble, that velocity represents the velocity it was going as the bubble was established.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, I understand. I understand what you mean. Yes. Okay. Dave.
Yes.
It's just gone past 12 a.m. in the morning, yeah? So will it be okay with you guys if I knock off?
Yeah, no, you're good, man. I'm going to mute Laird so we can say goodbye.
It's a little light here now, yeah.
We really appreciate you jumping on short notice, my friend. Thank you so much. Everyone, check out his, we'll link it below, but he's got an epic YouTube channel where he explores Mars anomalies and an X page. So check him out there. Jean Ward, where do they find you?
Okay, it's at Jean Ward Mars on X and Jean Ward on YouTube.
Okay. And yeah, man, thank you so much for hopping in, and we'll talk again soon. Looking forward to it.
You're welcome. It was great. Thank you, guys, and it was nice meeting you, Ricardo. I'll be chatting with you soon. Eh?
Soon, we'll chat soon. Yeah. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, there's the channel.
Always great to see you, Jean. Thanks for hopping on. I'm flashing his channel up just briefly so you can see. Jean Ward on YouTube, megalithic.mars.com. Check it out. Jean does a tremendous job, really doing more homework than NASA's doing on it.
Yeah, and I like the videos because they're just right to the point and they're not full with a bunch of fluff. So that's good. Ricardo, did you have any questions for Laird?
Well, I think the questions that I have is probably the questions that Laird has on his own. That is, why specifically and whom. But in terms of the fact that he considers the ship to be some sort of technology that is probably self-driven and self-regulated with a predestined path to go through. So you think it's a form of a sensor? Is it collecting data? What is in essence what you still muted? You have to wait a little bit. What is in essence what you really think that beyond the fact that it could, because we can look at the pyramid and determine the size of the Earth, and we can take enormous mathematical conclusions by its geometry, right? What you're saying is more or less a mirror of that. So we learn from the object itself in terms of technological advancement.
First off, if I'm unmuted here. NASA said that the track it was on was a perfect exploratory track. They couldn't have plotted a better track. And the track it was on was very carefully plotted to never within very close proximity to us. Whoever sent it isn't stupid. Okay, so I'm a symbolist. If I wanted to communicate the idea that I have no ill intent, that this is an exploratory mission, that's what I would do. It looks as if it came from a star in Sagittarius to where its second stop. Right now, I asked one of the ARs based on its current trajectory, where is it headed? It said Alpha Centauri, which is 4 light years away. So it looks like it's on sort of a survey of several stars. And as close as it came to so many planets, it's got to be gathering basic information about the planet. But beyond that, there's a mindset of the the symbolic system I work with rests on the idea that it's basically a Hindu concept, that the continuum of energy, magnetism and electricity, moves through between two states. One is superconductive, the other is superinsulating. And that continuum self-differentiates into zones. These are Zeeman effect zones that compare to biological zones in deep seawater. Different sorts of life thrive in different energetic zones. So the object itself, as it comes to us, is reflecting a mindset that's very similar to the symbolic system that I already study. And that mindset is uniformly benign and is uniformly informed about science. The symbolic tradition, the ancient symbolic tradition, I can trace creational energy from a domain of pure energy to an atom using no geometric figure more complicated than a circle, square, or a triangle, and no medical value more complicated than 3.2 as an approximation of pi. I've written 14 books. I'm about to publish the 15th one. We can lay it all out from the point where energy first condenses as monopoles to the point where atoms form and beyond that. A warp bubble, okay, the idea is that a single cluster of dynamics of energy recur on all upward scales. So if we understand how they work on any scale, we can infer how they have to work on the other scales. So it doesn't matter that we can't perceive them on the quantum scale. They work the same way they do on all the other scales. So a warp bubble has all of the same energetic dynamics that a beat frequency does. Louis de Broglie in 1927 published a hugely significant paper that got disappeared for 100 years. In 2018, Andre Michaud from Quebec made the public aware of this paper. It's a hugely important paper. Schrodinger's quantum theory rests on it. The dynamics of the warp bubble are the same as the dynamics of this beat frequency. A quantum particle in motion is in the same status to that beat frequency that a Star Trek ship would be to a warp bubble. And so this week I've inferred that because the ship doesn't actually move, it's the bubble that moves. With quantum particles, it's not the particle that moves, it's the bubble that's surrounding it that moves. That's a hugely important fact. There are all sorts of inferences like that we can draw once we understand that the energetics are parallel. If you examine the energetics on a very rudimentary scale, on the most fundamental scale, all of the dynamics simplify. We can see that gravity is a push, not a pull. Gravity compares to, as this domain of energy progresses, the subdivisions of the energy, the Zeeman effect domains, are differentiated by a progressively slowing pace of time by factors of 10. The reason that an electron, when it orbits a hydrogen atom, doesn't suffer any of the relativistic effects of acceleration is because it's not the electron that's accelerating, it's the pace of time in the domains of energy it's passing through. And the same thing happens with a warp bubble, that the ship that's enclosed by the warp bubble isn't moving. Speed is really the effective speed is based on how fast the bubble itself is working. One of the things that bothered me last night overnight was, how could an AI reasonably tell me what the internal speed of the ship was inside the warp bubble? Is that really a thing scientifically? And I discovered today it is. There are 3 or 4 different ways they have of determining what the internal speed would be of the ship inside the bubble as compared to the outer velocity of the bubble itself.
Does that create a time warp?
Not for the travelers inside the bubble don't see relativistic effects. Travelers outside do. So that's why, okay, NASA showed us one picture of 3i Atlas a few weeks back that is a perfect match for the energetics of a warp bubble. Anyone who is familiar with warp bubbles ought to have immediately said, that's a warp bubble. They just showed me a warp bubble. The warp bubble has relativistic effects. It has blue shift, it has red shift, and so forth. And we see that in the image that they sent us. But to the traveler who's inside the warp bubble, those don't exist. Everything is like Einstein riding on a train, tossing his ball up in the air. There's no relativistic effect. It's as if he's sitting still.
I wanted to mention this. I'm gonna mute you, Laird, quick, because we're. Yeah, there we go. Mike's got it. He says, Ancient Portals 369, thanks for watching. He says, the scientists repeatedly defined the object as a comet. They did, didn't they? I counted at least 7 times that they seemed to force that this object is a comet while not addressing any of the evidence that counter otherwise. So we obviously can't, get the water from the horse's mouth or whatever the stupid saying is, right? So we've got to rely on people like Laird and create our own community and have these conversations, right? Because we're not going to what just happened today, where we were all like, within 30 seconds, we were all like, we knew exactly what we were getting, right?
I was 15 minutes late. I was driving home. I was like, yeah, this is going to be a great conference. Well,
a whole audience, yeah. And then I felt dumb. I did. I felt like an idiot because I was like, what was I expecting? Like, you know what I mean? That they were going to show me these glistening pictures of 3i Atlas, and I'd be like, whoa, and it just opened my mind to all these different pods. No, we're just going to get, I got you, Laird. I got you, Laird. And so anyway, I'm just frustrated.
What we're going to have to we're going to have to watch for is there is no way that 3i Atlas is going to make its rendezvous on time in proximity to the Earth.
Okay.
Which means NASA is going to have to come up with a way to explain that away. Why is it that nobody with their backyard telescopes is able to see 3i Atlas on December 19th?
So we'll know. Sorry.
Here.
My bad. So we'll know by December 19th?
Yes, but there are lots of different ways that they can try to hedge that.
Okay.
But I'm interested to see which one they pick that results in nobody being able to see it on the date they said they want to.
Well, I was planning on looking at it on December 9th. I'm going to mute you quick because I actually got to start wrapping stuff. I have basketball practice in 1 hour, and this was a lot of fun. I wanted to I wanted to thank everyone in the chat for participating and everyone hanging in there through the whole Nothingburger that we got. I'd love to give Laird like the stage for like another 2 hours, but I gotta go. And so maybe in a few weeks we could do that. Maybe around December 19th or something like that would be a cool time to do that. But I just wanted to give Ricardo and Oleg a chance to promote what it is that they do really quickly and make some final comments on the show and into what Laird was saying. So if you would go first, Ricardo,
Okay.
Go ahead.
So again, my name is Ricardo Calvario. You can find me on X as Ricardo Calvario1. I work, and I'm one of the co-founders of the Institute for Natural Philosophy, where you can find 2 podcasts on YouTube. One of them is The Universe Unveiled. The other one is The Shaman and the Philosopher, where I participate myself. You can find our work in the academia page that is Institute for Natural Philosophy also, although we are more related to history than particularly to the theme that we are discussing here today, but everything interests us. And as a final point, I can give just a small notes that the Institute is going to be doing a PR probably in 2 weeks with all the new things that are coming, because we got great news, and so it's time to put the pedal to the metal and We're going to present all that we have been cooking all this time very soon.
That's very exciting. I didn't know that. That's very exciting. Keep us posted if you feel like dropping some info on our channel. We'd love that. I just wanted you to mention quickly, if you could tease your paper, because I really think it's an important paper.
Sure. So this paper resulted as an invitation from Chris Feinfrock, and I wasn't aware of the copper conundrum. That's because it's been obfuscated because it destroys completely the terms that there was no transoceanic travel before Columbus. So what this paper concerns is I looked for, was it possible for the copper that was mined with all of the mines that we have registered in the old world, North Africa, Asia Minor, Anatolia, all of those areas, all of the mines that we know of copper between 4500 and 1000 BC, how much copper they produced related to the copper that we find in the archaeological record. I'm trying to go for it as fast as I can. So the results is the relation is from 1 to 10 to 1 to 100 of the copper is missing, which means 89% to 98.7% of the copper was not mined in the old world, because the amounts of copper that was mined is completely different from the copper that we find in terms of tonnage. So the question is, where did the copper came from? And the other side of the globe, there are these people working for 50 years trying to figure out where the copper go, because they produced up from 100,000 tons to 680,000 tons of copper were mined, because it's float copper. It doesn't need to be processed. It is not an ore. It's a pure metal that can be taken out of the ground, and all of it disappeared. At the most, there is 5,000 tons of this copper in the Americas. So where is the rest of the copper? So this is why the paper is important, because it proves, at least from an academic point of view, I used about 140 academic peer-reviewed papers for doing this paper. And so it is the first step into the proving that copper came from the old world during the Copper and Bronze Age. I should finish saying that it is now being a new agreement was done, this time with pieces from the old world with provenance and provenience, which will leave no doubts when the copper is tested in the Lule labs in the upcoming months. If the copper is above 99.7% pure, that's not possible to do through processing ore. It means that you have proven that there has been constant shipping between the old world and the Americas, carrying this copper back and flowing the Copper and Bronze Age. I'm sorry to make it so long, but I tried to be as brief as possible.
No, I'm glad you made it as brief as possible, and I wanted a chance to say that because now you guys know why at the beginning of the show I said that the paper could literally rewrite every history textbook ever written. And so just keep an eye out for that, and whatever institute's got planned. I feel like I know some stuff, but not everything. So we'll hopefully be able to drop that. Oleg, where can everyone find you, my friend?
Everyone can find me. I think the best way is by copy and pasting, because my name and surname may be a little bit hard for you. But yes, here is my book, Deja. It has everything already been. And about, I see you have it. I have it.
Yeah, I got a signed copy all the way from Poland.
Yes,
so.
you were the last before the ban on the US. So you were very, very lucky.
Thank you. I feel lucky.
Right now, from news, I will be also doing a scientific paper under an academic supervision here in Poland, in Gdańsk, and I will be researching heavily the connections between the flood stories in the Hebrew Bible and the Mesopotamian and mostly Hindu stories. So
nice.
I will be also doing an academic work to some extent, and I will be also focusing on topics related to that. And also we will be more posting with my friend and historian Michael Leflem on Atlantis Bros channel podcast. You can show it. It may be better than my personal channel. I need to go back to recording on Aleksander Czeszkiewicz Global too, but we'll be posting, I think, more on the Atlantis Bros. Yes, here it is.
Oh, look, you never told us about this one. I'm hitting subscribe right now. Check it out. Atlantis Bros.
He told me about it the second time I talked to him. So
yes, check it out.
He told me about this.
It's really, really cool. Yes.
Guys, expect big things from 22-year-old
Yes.
Aleksander Czeszkiewicz. He told me today that he's got a personal tutoring with a local
Yes.
university, and he's publishing some articles in some of the biggest Polish. He's being modest. Expect big things from this young man. And we
Thanks
look forward
for
to hearing
having
from
me
him
on.
again in
I
the
really
future.
enjoyed it, and I learned a lot from actually you all, not only Laird, but also all of you that commented on this new Atlas thing.
He said somebody to order Deja Vu. I can't wait to read mine. More in
Great.
English, please. So there you go.
Have a nice read. I hope
Yep.
you enjoyed it.
And then Laird, I'll just give you the final words. Where do we go from here, my man? Like, I know that you're not Jesus and you don't have all the answers, but if you know, like, where do we go from here? Another nothing burger. What do we do? I'm gonna unmute you right now. I just realized you're muted.
Now on December 19th. In the meantime, I'm going to keep picking little esoteric aspects of this perspective and testing them to make sure that what I'm saying doesn't have some holes in it. And I'd appreciate any thought that anybody else can put into it, because we want to be right about it. We don't want to be, I mean, we want to have the correct information. We don't want to be right out of ego. So.
Yeah, and look, Laird is on Facebook, guys. I honestly feel like creating a fake Laird Scranton account on X and posting everything he posts on there just to double his coverage. But check him out, please. And you know, I really just want to thank the chat and thank all the panelists and everything for tonight. And Mike, do you have any final outro words for the
Centurion 420,000? Thanks so much, Allison McDade, Shaman 711. That's Jason. Check out Ricardo and Jason on The Shaman and the Philosopher. Fireman the Philosopher. Steve Wilbur was in the chat. Matt Thompson.
Yes.
Screwdriver tuning in as usual. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate everybody. This was super fun. I needed this ticket today, guys. I really enjoyed sitting here with y'all. Yeah. How would the Rob was in here? Oh yeah. Chris Cottrell, Dabbler's Den was in for a minute. What's up, Chris? Thank you. Margaret Leach. I'm just going back up. Schaefer's Harris. We had a very active chat tonight, and we really appreciate that. We look forward to that in all of our live streams.
We really do, and we'll hopefully, Laird, we can get you back on around December 19th to talk about what's next, and we won't even bother with NASA anymore. All right, how's that sound? And I'm gonna unmute you now.
At the same time, they will have had time to think about some of the things I've said and double check it, you know?
Yep, hopefully other people see it, right?
Yeah, well, I think I'm getting enough coverage. I had a woman I don't really know last night at an event I went to in Saratoga Springs who said she had been in Texas, where in a community that they deliberately keep dark so they can see the stars, and the question of 3i Atlas came up, and because she follows my Facebook posts, she felt like she could talk intelligently about it. I thought, I didn't realize that I was having an effect on people I know.
So that's our outro music going, guys. Thanks for surfing the cosmic wave of the multiverse with Mike and Dave. Thank you to our guests. Look forward to Shaman 711, Jason, and Ricardo joining the live stream sometime in the next week or so. We'll get that sorted out. They promo their awesome podcast, and it would do my heart a lot of joy if I were to see Mr. Laird Scranton on the Shaman and the Philosopher podcast. So you guys, Ricardo,
it would be our privilege.
Yes, if I could set that up in some way, or they will take care of you, Laird. I promise.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much for that, David, and Laird too.
Yeah, thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Subscribe to Mike and Dave's Multiverse on YouTube, Spotify, and Rumble today.